I'm not really sure at this point what you had expected of us at this particular point. I have the proposed budget, or the preliminary budget, I guess is perhaps the proper way to say that. That was prepared and I guess preliminarily introduced last week. As we reviewed the preliminary budget, I think the essence of what we've looked at is that, as we've discussed previously, the level of services that the borough has maintained in the past is essentially continued in the preliminary budget as proposed. The budget does not contain any significant changes in those level of services. So the preliminary decision, at least with respect to the budget and the numbers that are contained in the budget, is that the level of services provided by the borough continues as they are in 2012 or 2013. The commitments to provide those level of services are contained mostly in the borough's collective bargaining agreements, in the commitments to provide insurance and fringe benefits, etc., for the employees. As with most municipalities, the borough is a labor-intensive organization. You provide services, people provide those services, you pay the people to provide those services. The converse to that, or the corollary to that, is to find the revenue to pay for the level of services. Based on the preliminary budget that we've looked at, as prepared by, and we didn't do this is the borough's budget and the borough's auditor participating in this, but the preliminary budget as prepared is looking at a revenue deficit of approximately $395,000. And again, that's based on the level of services that are contained in the budget. Police, public works, etc., as you go down through the list. At your current assessed valuation, based on the estimate of a collected mill of about $290,000 for a collected mill, give or take, you're looking at about a 1.3 mil increase in the tax rate for the general fund.
Mr. Boyle, let me just go back a little bit. If the public recalls at its meeting on November 19th, Council adopted the preliminary budget, which is the one that you're discussing right now. That's the one that I think leaves all of these services that are in place, and kind of lays out what is needed to pay for everything as is. And your findings based on that show that if everything remained as is, there would be a deficit of $395,000 approximately. So if services and everything is to remain the same, Council has to come up with a way to raise $395,000 in revenue to balance the budget for 2015. Is that a fair summary?
That's a fair summary.
Okay. So at that meeting, under Borough Code, Council is required to adopt a preliminary budget, which is what they did on the 19th, within 30 days of adopting the actual budget. And also under Borough Code, the Council was required to make available that preliminary budget for public inspection, which I believe that has been taken care of as well.
Right.
So what we're discussing now is that preliminary budget, and Council is here tonight to, in essence, have a work session to figure out ways to deal with that so they can prepare the 2013 budget in a fashion that will balance. So after hearing what you said preliminarily, we're obviously roughly $400,000 short of where we need to be. So the discussion between you and Council, and then any questions from the public at the end of the meeting, further reserved at the end of the meeting.
Ray, one question on the 395. Is that the deficit for 13 or?
What we're talking about for 2013 budget the deficit will be.
395.
395.
Okay, plus you do have a deficit from other years.
Well, I don't know about that, we'll get into all that. What I'd like to do is hold all public comment questions till the end, so that council, who are the decision makers, could have the opportunity to ask, to discuss, and get all their questions answered. Okay, so with that, we can proceed.
Well, I think it's, given the summary that I provided, the context and summary that the solicitor provided, I think at this point, I'll answer questions, but the basic outline with respect to the preliminary budget is, as we just discussed, the level of services are maintained at current levels. The question becomes, how do you pay for those levels of services? Or, because this is a preliminary budget and you don't adopt the final budget until, well, at minimum 30 days after the day was introduced, then there are still opportunities for council to make adjustments in both the revenue and the expenditure side of the proposed budget as they go forward. Final adoption after December 18th, whatever the 30 days are from